Hello, angel babes. Welcome back to my channel. Once again, I'm in my wonderful bedroom. It's just a different view. That's my weird chandelier-like thingy. It's like vintage. This is a Victorian farmhouse that I'm living in that's been turned into a duplex, and I'm renting like the smaller apartment of it. But I decided to drape some like sparkly leaf garland on the thing back during fall, and I kind of left it there because it was cute. Actually, it might have been before fall. It might have been summer. It's always fall in my heart, so who cares? I don't even call it fall. I call it autumn. But it always confuses, like, Americans whenever I say that. Because they're like, huh? Who? And I'm like, I'm not talking about a person. I'm talking about a season. Although it is a very lovely name. I have a few dolls named Autumn. But yeah. So, something that I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about today is, I kind of want to talk about how the internet interacts with people with various different types of disordered eating. For instance, like, Eugenia Cooney is, a pretty controversial person all the way around. Then you've got, like, Amberlyn Reed, Foodie Beauty, who keeps changing her name, so whatever. I'm sorry, but she's kind of boring now. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't know. It's just, she knows what her audience was built off of. Why is she shoving this, like, Muslim stuff in our faces, knowing full well that her audience is not a Muslim audience? We're here to watch her, like, kind of, I don't know, mess up her own life, I guess. You know, just watch her make mistakes, and then it just kind of like sit there and be like, wow, this is a mistake that I'm going to make sure that I don't make. I don't know. I kind of use them as a learning opportunity. Like a lot of these people with their eating disorders who are very publicly visible, like Nick Ocado and Amberlyn Reed and Eugenia Cooney and Foodie Beauty, to name a few. I do also follow the Slayton sisters. I'm actually really impressed with how they're doing. One of my favorites is Hungry Fat Chick. I don't know. I've always appreciated how, like, she's always been very kind and very honest, and she has, like, I don't know. I've always appreciated that about her. And so I have nothing bad to say. And you know what? I think that, like, but I think that the way that everyone approaches things with Eugenia and with Amberlyn Reed and with, like, any of the others that I've mentioned, and there are some others that I'm forgetting the names of at the moment. Forgive me. I'm a little bit, I obviously haven't done my hair, and I've just woken up a few hours ago, but, like, I've been rotting in bed. I don't feel good today. I'm not supposed to get sick this quickly after just recovering. This is not fair. This is breaking a rule. God knows this is against the agreement. But whatever. But yeah, like, I don't know, just, I feel like everyone approaching them with this really harsh reality, this harsh, tough love kind of approach. What if that's not the right way to approach it? I know tough love has never been a thing that works for me. It's always made me spiral worse. Whereas kindness and encouragement has always been more, what's the word here? It's always been more, helpful to me, you know? Like, I don't know. I just can't do the tough love approach personally. It never works for me. It just makes me worse, ultimately, because then I spiral worse into the pattern that I'm being criticized for, I feel like. Maybe that's just me. I can take criticism when it is done correctly, but when it is done in this tough love, very mean, harsh way, I have a hard time with it, and I'm wondering if maybe they're the same way. and that's something that's actually getting in their way. I don't know. That's just me putting out theories. But kindness goes a long way. It makes us feel a lot better, and I don't really see the sense in being mean to these people, because it's like, it's not going to change anything. They still have an eating disorder. You being mean to them is not going to fix it. It's not going to change it. It might just make it worse. You might just make them double down even more into it without even being consciously aware that they're doing it, you know? So yeah, like, I don't know. I just... Ugh. I don't know. I just, like... I don't know. I'm just been thinking about it a lot lately. And then I'm also thinking about the fact that we live in a society that very much moralizes recovery. And I think that that's kind of, like, deeply problematic, because, like, not everyone can recover. And people need to stop being made to feel guilty or like they're a bad person inherently for, I got my tea. Like, people need to, like, I'm sorry, I don't remember what I was saying. I don't know, it feels completely pointless the way people are mean, to these people, and the way that people are, like, really mean to, like, I know that like, a lot of people have been hurt by people with their mental illnesses and everything, and have a lot of, like, related issues where it's destroyed relationships and stuff, and I get it, but being mean to the mentally ill person is not going to fix them of their mental illness. Like, that's such a stupid way to look at it. You know, at least in my opinion. I just feel like there needs to be a lot more nuance to the conversation. I feel like everyone's trying to approach it in black and white, where you're either on one side or the other. And I feel like we need to approach this from the middle ground, and we need to, like, try to come into this with a clear understanding and with a clear head, ready to actually try to understand instead of just being harsh and cruel and judgmental. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just, like, looking at this too empathetically. Like, I'm imagining how difficult, like, okay, so I have OCD. I don't remember if I've ever mentioned it, but I have OCD, and it's like, for instance, like, I've always been made to feel like the thoughts in my head were bad. Like, I was, a bad person inherently for a lot of my intrusive thoughts. Even though they're, like, not thoughts that I like, they're thoughts that I am greatly uncomfortable by. There's still, like, a little voice in the back of my head that's like, you're an awful person for thinking this. And it's like, just because I thought it doesn't mean I like it. It came into my head without my permission, But, like, I don't know. I feel like there's such an emphasis on, like, you have to recover. You have to try to be better. You have to want to be better, in order for your life to be worth anything. Like, people moralize recovery so much when it comes to, like, mental illnesses and stuff, especially when those cross into lands of self-destructive behavior or, like, addictive behaviors, like eating disorders and self-harm and substance abuse. Those are all self-destructive and addictive behaviors. And not everyone can find their way out of that. And I feel like making them feel shitty about it isn't helping anything. Like, they already feel bad and like they are failing morally. Like, you've already pushed that mindset onto them. Like, they already are mentally ill and struggling with it. And then they also have to feel bad for being mentally ill and struggling with it. I just don't think that's, like, okay. Especially since, like, these people are clearly, like, they're clearly mentally ill. And they clearly don't, they're, a lot of times they're not even talking about it. Like, Eugenia doesn't talk about her disorder, like, at all. If anything, she tries to, like, avoid it as a topic. I tried to use my knees to hold up my phone, but my phone has no case because I'm a dummy, and so it, like, almost slipped and fell, which is what that was. But yeah, like, I don't know. It all feels really stupid. Like, everyone's just being mean for no reason. And I feel like Of Herbs and Altars is onto something when they say that not everyone can live a fully recovered or fully sober life. Sometimes you have to, I guess, take the small victories. Look at the compromises. It's like, okay, so I'm doing X, Y, and Z thing that I shouldn't be doing. However, I'm doing these things to prevent it from being too bad or to make sure that it's not too damaging. Like, I get that, actually. Like, I don't know. I feel like I understand where they're coming from when they're talking about how, like, for some people, there is no such thing as a sober life. For some people, like, there is no recovery. For some people, it's either they live on their terms or they take themselves out of the equation altogether. And I suppose that it would be better for them to live on their terms than to completely take themselves out of the conversation. You know what I mean? I feel like it's better to have them here in some manner than to, like, have them, delete themselves, or something. So it's just like, and you know what I mean. I ain't talking about social media. I don't know. So it's just like, there's so many ladybugs. There's like 2 on my ceiling. I live by the woods, so ladybugs keep coming in here. And now that the weather's warming up, there's like 2 on my ceiling and 1 on my curtain. Well, on the curtain on my fiance's side of the bed. Look at my giant froggy. He's a frog, but he's got a mushroom hat. And the way his little arms are, I use them to hold my, like, vapes. Because they're sewn into place, so he holds them for me. But yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know. And maybe that's just me, like, being completely delulu or something and thinking and trying to rationalize stuff or something. Or maybe I'm just too willing to compromise. I'm not sure. But I don't know. Like, as long as you can, like, maintain semi-health and, like, can, like, function semi-okay without hurting those around you. I don't know, like, I don't know. Maybe that's just, like, me just rambling, because, like, I kind of do feel like I'm rambling and, like, I'm going nowhere with it and just talking in circles. And I apologize about that. This did have a much more precise point. It did, I promise. I just don't remember it. I'm such a mess, I know. I'm so sorry. My brain fog is so much worse whenever I'm feeling sick or fatigued, which I'm feeling right now. My stomach's incredibly upset today. Like, it is so angry. I don't know. I'm very prone to infections, so I get, like, viruses and infections and illnesses and stuff a lot, like a lot of colds and flu. COVID had me completely wrecked. Truthfully, if I get COVID again, I'm sleeping through it. Yes, indeedy I am. There will not be a minute of being sober with COVID again. Not after last time. That was miserable. I couldn't sleep, but I felt miserable physically and exhausted and mentally. Like, I just felt like trash. So there's no way, if I get COVID again, I'm going through that the same way. Forget that. But yeah, so, like, I don't know. I don't mind Amberlynn Reed. I miss some of her older content where she was, like, a lot more unfiltered. She was a lot more unhinged, chaotic. And, she made some of her most iconic, like, content back then, And it's really kind of, like, she was genuinely funny, without trying to be, just by saying some off-the-wall stuff is great. And I feel like part of her hears that part of her audience is like, hey, this is the stuff that we're wanting. Because, like, I've noticed that, like, she started using little clips from back then periodically in her current content to try to, like, evoke the nostalgia of those old inside jokes or something. I don't know. I think it's just, like, I think the fun of all of this is, like, pretending like you have a social life, pretending like you're friends with people. I think that's why YouTube is so fun. Like, you can pretend like you have a social life even when you don't. Because in a lot of ways, I feel like I relate to Amberlynn Reed because I'm a person who is a shut-in. I have a lot of mental and physical chronic conditions, but they're not my fault or anything like that. Not that I'm saying that her eating disorder is her fault. It's clearly an illness of its own. So I'm not saying that it's her fault or anything like that either, though. But, like, what I'm saying is it's something that I've had no influential role in. My body just decided to say, you know what? This one deserves to suffer. In reference to me. So it's just like, I have lupus. I think I have MS because of the way the symptoms are acting. And yeah, so, like, those are just things that happen. They're kind of, like, predetermined by genetics to an extent, and then they just, like, happen, randomly in your life, and you're like, oh no, now I'm screwed. I mean, to be fair, I was already screwed to begin with. I have a connective tissue disorder, hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So, not professionally diagnosed, of course, but I have good reason to believe that I have it, considering all of my joints pop out of place, like, all the time, and I can reach every square inch of my back. I always thought that people, not being able to reach their own back was ridiculous. I thought people, like, having other people scratch their back, because they couldn't reach, I thought that was just, like, them not trying hard enough, but now I'm realizing, oh no, I'm just a freak of nature. Because I can pop my joints out of their sockets and stuff, and it's really gross. It's really inconvenient when it happens while walking. So much fun. I love it when I dislocate my hips. Note the heavy sarcasm. However, it does make posing very interesting because I can move my body in really unnatural ways. So, like, photography-wise, I could probably utilize it to my advantage. Make some very strange, sort of, like, poses. Oh, there's something on my screen. I'm going to leave it because I don't want to interrupt the video or anything. Also, sorry if I never look into, like, camera correctly or completely. I have a very hard time with eye contact, and that includes on camera, too. As weird and dumb as that sounds. Oh, golly. I didn't mean to drop y'all. Sorry. But yeah, like, I don't know. Now, I never liked Chantel. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's not that I hate her or anything. It's just, a lot of her toxic, like, behaviors I just can't get past. Like, don't get me wrong. I get that Amberlynn Reed has done some things that are, like, bad, and problematic. However, I do believe that people can change. Maybe that's just me being, like, naive and overly hopeful, but I would like to think that people can change and that, like, Amberlynn could, like, turn her life around. And, even if she doesn't fully turn her life around, even if she just works on becoming a better person, I think that I can make peace with that. Because, like, I don't know, the whole thing with the way that she treats her exes is a little bit problematic, like, a lot. Like, a lot of it problematic. And that's, like, the only beef I have with her. Whereas with Chantel, The way she completely, like, the way that she conducts herself is absolutely abhorrent, in my opinion. You know, starting drama, calling people names, being, like, verbally abusive, and stuff like that. It just isn't a vibe for me. I just don't like her vibe. And then the sudden rebrand, as she cosplays as Muslim. Okay. Sure. So you're Muslim now. Sure. And I'm not saying that I doubt people who, like, convert to Islam or whatever. That's the right phrasing for that, right? But I don't think that they're fake inherently. I just think that Chantel specifically is. That she's doing it for, like, clout or something. I don't know, that's just me. I don't really have any opinions on Nikocado. I think that everything he does on camera is an act. So I don't actually have any real beef with him or any issues or problems with him. He's a little dramatic, but that's part of the act. I kind of actually respect him to an extent because what he did was kind of brilliant. I would never do it because I would never do that to myself. I'd rather die, but it still was kind of brilliant, like very mastermind-ish of him to, like, I guess, work the YouTube world in his favor to be wildly successful the way he has and to stir up the drama and controversy that he's very good at doing, but without being so bad to be canceled. It's been a very fine line he's walked, and I've noticed that. And I've noticed the way that he's walked that line very finely. Like, he'll do stuff that's controversial and problematic, but not to the same extent as everyone else and not nearly as publicly. I'm sure he probably does a lot more behind the scenes that's probably problematic, because a lot of people who are big YouTubers do. A lot of the times, not always, obviously. But, like, I'm not aware of it, so I can't judge him on stuff that could be happening, if that makes sense. I don't really watch his content personally, though. I can't stand to watch him waste food and stuff, and I've seen him do it so many times that I just can't do it anymore. I just can't watch his content. It just upsets me. Like, I don't even like any of the food that he tends to eat. I can't eat most of it. But, like, it still upsets me to see it go to waste because, like, there are hungry people in the world. Like, I know what it's like to be hungry and, like, everything like that. Like, during the pandemic, I survived off of food from the food bank. Mostly rubbish food, though, I'm not gonna lie. Like, they kept getting a lot of, like, pies and cakes and stuff donated to them from the local grocery stores. You know, things that they could no longer exactly sell, but were not bad enough to throw away either. You know, a tax write-off. So, yeah. I don't know, I lived on a lot of those stuff during the pandemic, which was really bad for me, but I've definitely done a lot better about, like, cutting the sugar addiction since then, thankfully. Damn, the pandemic was a wild ride. It feels like it never ended for me, though. I got, so, like, I was working at the start of the pandemic, and then everything shut down, and I wasn't working. And then I wasn't working for some time. And then I got a job. And then I got a different job when I moved. And this was still during the pandemic. I went from working at Goodwill to working at a factory, which was really awesome. And the pay jump was beautiful. Still not quite the best wages, however, superior to other places around here, ordinarily, like workplaces. Their starting rate is like $15 an hour now, which for the area is a lot. However, when you compare it to the rest of the country and the rate of inflation, it's nothing. We're literally like they hiked up, like when the inflation got really bad, this factory was like, we're going to do our employees a favor because we love you all so much. We're going to finally increase your pay like you've been begging. And we're going to pretend that it's a nice thing of us to do and not, in fact, the only way for you to survive. That's basically how they, like, I guess, pushed it. And it was like, oh, that's a little cringe. Because it's like, you're not doing us a favor. You actually just screwed us all. Because suddenly we were all put to the 15 rate, and some of us had training that made us eligible for a higher pay rate. I should have been making $16.75 when I was working there an hour, and they kept me at 15. I was trained in a lot of things that I should have had a higher rate of pay. According to their own rules, I did have a higher rate of pay before they leveled us all out. So it's kind of frustrating. Like, I don't know. But anyway, while I was working there, like, that's when my illness got really bad. Like, my health has been on a steady decline since sophomore year of high school. Yeah, sophomore year of high school. My life has been kind of, like, my health has been a decline, and my ability. I lost my soccer career, which sucked. But, it is what it is. And then my school started to, I started to struggle in school to have the energy to do my assignments. So my grades started to slip. I went from being, like, a straight A scholar student to being, like, barely staying above C average. Barely passing on technicality, basically. So, like, and like I said, what happened is my body's kind of been breaking down, with my autoimmune diseases. And the nerve damage started to take place my senior year of high school. That's when it really started to set in. And, like, I don't know, it's just like, I can't work anymore, so I'm stuck at home the way Amber Lynn is. So I feel like she and I have a lot in common in that regard. Like, we both also have anxiety and OCD, and we're both sitting in our apartments alone, stuck ruminating constantly, feeling perpetually lonely, and isolated, because you're like, yeah, sure, it's, like, not so bad to be alone. However, it's nice to socialize sometimes. And it gets really depressing, and you get in your own head, and you stop wanting to go out. Like, I don't know, like, I'm not plus size or anything, but, like, I definitely get that feeling of being homebound, and there are a lot of days where I'm kind of stuck in bed because I don't feel good, and I don't know, I feel really guilty about that, and I feel like people criticizing those aspects of her life as unfair. And frankly, I think it's ableist. I think that it's just, like, overlooking an entire group of people who live exactly that way, including myself. Like, I live at home. I don't do anything. I barely keep up with my personal care. Like, I do everything I can to take the best care of myself that I can, but if I'm physically unable, that it is what it is. But, anyway, I think I've rambled on enough. I think, though, that this was, like, a really good discussion video, in my opinion. At least, like, I think it was really important to talk about this stuff, is what I mean. I hope that I make sense, though, and I'm not too scatterbrained. But, anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, but no pressure. See you around in the next one. Take care.